of God is an Adullam. So anywhere you are going to and your Simon is not becoming Peter, you are not in a church, you are in a shrine. Caesarea Philippi was actually a coast, a mountainous place where an ancient spring flowed out of. When I discovered this, I said, Kai, now I have the answer as to why Jesus had to go to Caesarea Philippi, because he had to stay beside the ancient spring. Yeshua knew that this is the place where weaklings become strong. He discovered another Adullam. Caesarea Philippi was another Adullam. He wanted to make disciples and he wanted to make them to become apostles. So he needed to take them to a cave like David found. It's the cave system that grows men. The previous verse, Yeshua called him Simon Bar-Jonah. Now he is saying you are Peter. In other words, Simon Bar-Jonah and Peter are two different people. Simon Bar-Jonah represents a personality of the flesh. Peter represents the personality of the spirit. You have the possibility of living a life as Simon Bar-Jonah. You have the possibility of living a life as Peter. And the reason why Yeshua was so deliberate and was so articulate about this was because the posture of Peter is the highest form of discipleship. You attain that state when you have walked with the Lord for a while and every Simon Bar-Jonah within you has died. Galatians 2 verse 20, I have been crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ that liveth in me. Peter's a man that Christ lived through. That's this thing that Peter did. Jesus looked at it and said, Kai, this is what I wish everybody should become. This is what I wanted when I called Peter, when I called the sons of Zebedee. This is what I wanted them to attain. Like Jacob, I wanted them to become an Israel. Like Abraham, I wanted them to become an Abraham. Like Simon, I want them to become a Peter. This is what I want. But in order for me to have this, there is a platform that can only produce this. Me being with them, I cannot be with them forever. I can't stay with them because my own mission is to die in order to accomplish the purpose of salvation. And in salvation, Simon Bar-Jonah can become Peter. I can't stay with them for a long time. But I need to orchestrate a platform for men, for Simons to walk into that place and come out as Peters. Adullam no longer exists. Adullam is a cave in Israel, a cave in the Middle East. Not everybody will have access to Adullam. But I can create an Adullam for Simon Bar-Jonah to enter irrespective of physical location. Are you seeing where I'm going to now? Yeshua took them to to Caesarea Philippi for a reason. The reason why he took them there was to show them a prototype of the Adullam he was building. Caesarea Philippi was a prototype of Adullam. And Caesarea Philippi was a prototype of the structure God wanted to present. And what was that structure? Upon this rock. Do you see why Yeshua orchestrated the church? The church is not the building. The church is an Adullam. The church of God is an Adullam. So anywhere you are going to and your Simon is not becoming Peter, you are not in a church, you are in a shrine. Yeshua looked at Peter and he was excited by the revelation. Do you know how excited Jesus is? For him to have said, you are blessed. You are just like a man bringing a seed of 2 billion to a man of God that is suffering. He will not know how to pray. He will first say, he will kneel down and pray for you. It was the same thing that Jesus experienced. He was looking for somebody that can answer the question of who is I am. He was looking for somebody that will say, this is who God is. Because the whole idea of even human's creation is so that there can be fellowship between man and God. And how can there be fellowship without knowledge? How can there be fellowship without intimacy and experience? How can you fellowship with somebody you don't know? Apostle Paul showed us the mystery. He said, he that sits in an unapproachable light. It is not the desire of God to be unapproachable. He wants to know you as much as you know him. Paul knew this was the burden of the heart of the Father when he said that I might know him. And how can men know God? No longer do we have David. David has died. His bone has become sand. So we cannot even have Adullam again. This Caesarea, even I read now that Caesarea Philippi is not the way it is now. In the Middle East, earthquake has covered the ancient spring. You can't find it. God knew that. So he orchestrated a system for Simon Barjonas to walk into a place, and that place is called the Rock. That place, he said, I will build my church. I will carve the stones in a way that when you enter it as a Simon Barjona, you will come out not as you are, but you will come out as a Peter. And when you come out as Peter, you will not be saying, God forbid that you die. You will be saying, thou art Christ. God, you will look death in the face. You will look crucifixion. This is what Jesus did to the disciples. That a time came when they said, if you follow and you speak of his name, he will kill you. And they said, you are talking to men that has discovered Caesarea Philippi. They wanted to martyr them. They wanted to kill them. They thought they would be fidgeting and say, I don't want to die. Don't kill me. Let me live. They didn't know that they left their flesh on the mountain. They left their flesh on Caesarea Philippi. They were no longer Simons. A Peter is he who has died long ago. Death no longer moves him. They looked death in the face and then they smiled and they asked the question, where is your sting? Nothing moves them again. Like I said earlier on, there is no other choice. There is no other platform. There is no other way. We have not yet found Caesarea Philippi. And our Caesarea Philippi for us is the rock where Christ built his church. Do you see why even Yeshua knew that the gate of hell will attack it? Because the gate of hell will excel when there are many Simon Barjonas. Just in case you think Simon Barjona is a cultist that kills people weekly. No, sir. Simon Barjonas are people that supposedly walk with Jesus. You didn't get what I said? A Simon Barjona is a spirit-filled person, but the spirit within him is a perverted thing. Are you with me? So you can be in church for a long time and not discover the purpose of church. Do you see why it is? Why I always tell people you want to start a ministry to fulfill what? Have you built your cave? How deep is your cave? How deep is that cave? Your cave is not deep. It can only contain one person. Or God, only you will grow there. Upon this rock, upon Peter's, will I build my church, and the gate of hell. And so every day, as you die daily, as you are dying daily, you are coming alive as a Peter. And as a Peter, you are becoming strong to hit the rock. A day will come when you will hit that rock and find water. The ancient spring in Caesarea Philippi might have been covered with earthquake, but I tell you, like Yeshua said, out of your bellies. Because no longer do we need to look for a cave in Israel. You don't need to become a JP to hear God. You don't need to travel to Israel to discover the eternal resource of God. No longer do you need to go to a place to find him. He said, out of you now, you will now become the cave. That daily, when men see you, they want to come to you. You are now my church. Do you see why I told them tarry? He said, tarry in Jerusalem, where I will now bring heaven to you. You don't need to go on a tourism agenda again. You don't need to travel to discover me. I will come to you and I will make you my embodiment. And when I make you my embodiment, you will become a cave.